This is pop video number 2. Force the vote is nonviolent. Today, AOC tweeted that sharp criticism of her was an act of violence. What a disappointment AOC is. Force the vote is a nonviolent movement. Let me explain why in this video. I'll start with personal story. How did I come to this idea that the next American existential war would be people versus corporations? Was I an activist or a community organizer? Was I out in the street fomenting? No. I'm a nerd. I'm a bookworm. I'm what Jimmy Dore might call smarty pants. So I came to this conclusion reading these books. But I had an issue with the conclusion. People versus corporations. People are people like you and me with beating hearts and blood running through us. A corporation is a legal fiction. How do people fight corporations? That was the question I asked myself in 2003, and I had no answer. But today, through Force the Vote, it's clear who the enemy of the people are. They're the corporatists. And who is a corporatist? Simple definition. It's a human being, it's a person who acts to serve the interests of the corporations. Intentionally acts or unintentionally acts. It's like George Bush said back in 2003, if you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not with Force the Vote, you're a corporatist. So, the thing about corporatists, in my view, in 2021, defined that way, they're the worst people in America. The worst bar none. They're worse than violent criminals. Violent gangs, random shooters, kids who walk into schools and shoot up, they're fictional, psychotic, driven enemies. They're worse than any of those people. They're worse than the racists. They're worse than the cancel culturers who battle the racists. Note that in those last two categories, there's a common thread between the racists and the cancel culturers. It's the thread of intolerance. That's what that is. It's the coin of intolerance. On one side you got the racists, and on the other side you got the cancel culturers. And nobody likes them in America. Well, a lot of people don't like them, let me just say, and I'm one of them. I don't like either of them because they're intolerant. I hate intolerance. Even for good reasons, right? And, but they're not as bad as corporatists. Why? Well, racists like some people, they hate a certain group. Of course, that's what makes them venal. And cancel culturists hate the racists, but they, like their friends, they like other people. So their hate is limited. The hate of the corporatist is unlimited. Corporatists hate all people. Now, I don't say AOC doesn't hate all people. If she turns out to be a corporatist, we'll find out tomorrow. But if she's a corporatist, she's serving interests that hate all people. So what's the difference if she loves everybody, if she serves the interests of entities that hate us, hate you, hate me, and everybody we know? But here's the thing. I'm talking about hate. I am nonviolent. I propose nonviolence. I was nonviolent back in 2003, and I'm nonviolent now. And the two proposals I have for in case Force the Vote fails are completely nonviolent. And they're not my proposals. They already exist. Proposal number 1. MPP, Movement for a People's Party. In fact, Nick Brana, the founder of it, suggested that's going to be the follow-on from Force the Vote. And then I say there's BDS, instead of just for Israel, BDS for the corporations.